Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Lukeness Monster. Today we'll be reviewing the Star Wars The Black series, Bad Batch Imperial Clone Shock Trooper. This is a Walmart exclusive and just did finally ship a few days ago, so I'm super happy to get it. They were having a ton of shipping delays with the whole US shipping crisis right now, so glad we finally have got it in hand. So looking at this figure, it is pretty cool. We can obviously see the figure through the window. It does say Star Wars Bad Batch Imperial Clone Shock Trooper on the front. Flipping it over to the side, we do have this amazing artwork of the trooper looking super nice. We have the same image on the back here with the bio. You can pause and read it if you would like. It is number 7 in the Bad Batch line. Not a whole lot going on this side at all, so yeah, let's go ahead and get her open. So we do have the Imperial Clone Shock Trooper out of the box, and I do have to say he is looking super clean. I love that he is on the new clone body. If you do watch the channel regularly, you do know that I am a huge fan of the new clone body. I know there is a lot of, not hate going around, but a lot of people do prefer the older body or the Rex body over the newer clone body, and they do have a right to their opinion, but I do personally think that the newer clone body is a little bit better, especially because it does have a more like animated aesthetic to the figure, and Bad Batch is a animated TV show, so I mean it makes sense for the animated figure to be and to look like an animated figure, I guess, if that makes any sense. But anyway, let's pop him off the spinning stand here and take a closer look at the figure. So taking a closer look at this figure, I do have to say, like I said before, I do really like this new clone body. It does have the updated clone head where it's like a harder plastic, and it's not the super soft plastic that does get a little bit malformed and a little misshapen as well. I know that the original clones of the new bodies started to do that, and it looked a little weird. So they did go ahead and fix that with, I believe it was the Elite Squad Trooper from the Bad Batch line, and they have continued that with a newer helmet, and it still looks incredible. It actually does have the white line instead of the black line, indicating that it is an animated clone and not realistic. And another big feature on this figure that I never really noticed until having it in hand, and a lot of other clones don't have this either. I believe this is the only clone that has it. The the mouth like grill piece is silver. If you go look at it like right there, it's got some silver accents to it that none of the other clones have. Never noticed this before, and getting in hand, it looks really cool. I don't know why it's silver, but it looks amazing. The head is on two balls, one at the I guess like middle of the head, and then one at the bottom of the neck. So it does have a wider range of articulation, so you can get it looking around in any way you really want it to, which is pretty cool. Looking at the Pauldron, this Pauldron has a really like nice leathery look to it. It is of course plastic, but it looks super nice. It definitely looks like leathery, and it is actually just glued on. It's not like pegged in or anything, so if you did want to remove the Pauldron, it is pretty simple. All you have to do is heat it up and then pop it off. I actually did make a video already doing that. If you do want to check it out, it will be pinned in the card right now. But yeah, the Pauldron literally just like pops right off, and you have an extra Pauldron, I guess, or you have a standard shock trooper if you want one of those as well. But yeah, it is pretty cool. I do like the Pauldron look. Flipping it over to the arms. Arms are the standard new body articulation. It can go all the way up. The shoulder pad actually does bend to go over the Pauldron to get it that more just extra articulation. It can also go all the way around, and it does have pretty good elbow articulation as well. Swivel at the elbow, it's not double jointed, which is good, and it also does have a hinge at the wrist. Making our way down, it does have nice articulation at the body here. It is just a ball, and this is something I like a lot better than the Marvel Legends, and I've never really noticed this until I started collecting Marvel, and that is most of Marvel don't have a ball. It's just like one hinge that goes up and down, and it's very weird. I don't know why, but I don't like it. I like the ability to like it go all the way around. You can literally spin it like that if you wanted to, but Marvel doesn't do that, so I like this better, I guess, after seeing some of those Marvel figures. Legs are pretty simple as well. They can kick back that far, and they can actually kick forward that far. Once you get this high, the leg actually does start to rotate to get a little bit higher, and in turn you can do like a pose like that, but then the knee pad isn't straight. So it does look a little weird, but overall it is pretty cool. Then he does have rockers at the ankles as well. One big thing that this figure is missing is a holster, because in the show, the Shock Trooper commander had a holster with a DC-17, and that was kind of his main weapon, and he doesn't have the holster at all, no holster, which is kind of frustrating, as that is a decently big part of the character. And then he doesn't even come with the DC-17 either. Like, I could maybe see them not including the holster, but then giving them the DC-17, but they didn't include either, which is very, very frustrating. And yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those, like, it's a big part of the character, and they just didn't include it. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. But let's go ahead and take a close look at the weapons. So this figure does only come with the 2 rifles, but it is basically what every clone comes with. So I'm not complaining too much. Most clones do come with these rifles, and some clones only come with 1, so I'm glad they didn't decide to include both. I have seen recently them only including like 1 rifle with it, so I do appreciate them throwing both in, but I think the biggest problem is the DC-17s, the pistols. They didn't include at least one of them. I know the holster would have been nice, but even if you don't have the holster, it would have been nice for them to at least include the blaster with it, but yeah, it's just a little frustrating, because that is a pretty big part of the character. But the rifles do look good. We've seen them 100 times now, so nothing special. But so first up for comparison, we do have the Imperial clone Shock Trooper next to the original clone Shock Trooper from the Order 66 4-pack. And they are very similar in design, because they are technically both the same character, except one has a Pauldron and one doesn't. But there are a few major differences with the figure. First up, I think the most noticeable difference is this one has the black line on the helmet, and this one doesn't. And that's perfectly fine, and I actually like how they did this, just because it fits the different styles of figures. They're not the same figure. One is an animated one is a realistic style, and I'm actually kind of glad. I know some people are like, they don't look good next to each other on the shelf, just because of the black line, and I could see why you say that, but even together they look alright, so I'm not too terribly upset with that. Another big difference is the weathering. This guy is pretty weathered. It has scratches on the paint, like dirt and grime on the armor as well, where this guy has a little bit of like scratches and dings here and there in the paint, but really no weathering on it at all. So this guy definitely gets a point for weathering, because it does look incredible. I think another big difference right off the bat is that this guy is much taller. And not by like much taller, but for clones they should be the same height, and you can definitely tell that there is a height difference. I think the next biggest difference you could say is just the shade of red. This one is a very, very light shade of red compared to this, which is a little bit darker shade. So it's pretty hard to tell once you put like the entire Coruscant Guard all together, but it is definitely noticeable when you put them right next to each other. But once you get like Fox in here too, you can tell that all 3 of them are different shades of red, so really it is hard to tell overall. And speaking of which, the next comparison is Fox. And like I said, the biggest difference is the shade of red. Fox is a darker shade, Coruscant Guard here is a lighter shade, but I think also that's perfectly fine as well, because in the show, Fox is a darker shade of red. I think, like I said, again, the biggest difference is the weathering, where Fox here is very, very weathered compared to little on the Coruscant Guard, and that's something I've definitely been noticing from the older clones to the newer clones. The newer clones get very little weathering, which is very, very unfortunate, just because it looks so good on some of those older clones, and I really wish they do somehow bring that back. I don't know what caused them to stop doing it, but I'm not a huge fan of it. Next up is actually another Imperial clone Shock Trooper, but this one I actually did just remove the Pauldron, like I said. That video will be pinned in the card and linked in the description if you do want to check it out. But yeah, it was very simple to remove, and now I just have an extra Coruscant Guard grunt, and yeah, and it looks pretty good next to this one as well, as it is basically the exact same figure. So yeah. And then last up for the comparisons, just for grids and giggles, here is the Shock Trooper next to my custom Commander Thorn. So yeah, honestly, like I said, looks a little bit better. Definitely, again, another different shade of red, so got a ton of different shades of red going around here. But once you put them all together, they look pretty good, so I am pretty happy with that overall. Anyway, here they all are together, and like I said, the Coruscant Guard just absolutely looks incredible now. I know I do have my custom figure in there, but now that we have Fox, the original Shock Trooper, and then the new. I keep wanting to call him the Elite Squad Trooper just because he has a pauldron, but the Shock Trooper Commander. It does look really, really cool, and obviously you can get several of those Shock Trooper Commanders, pop off the Pauldron, and you just have the normal Coruscant Guard grunts. So, yeah, I am pretty happy about this. This figure came out great. But overall, I am going to give it a 4 out of 5, and I'm taking away an entire point because it does not include the holster and DC-17 pistol. I absolutely love the figure how it is, and I don't think it's necessary. But the fact is that this figure is based off of the Bad Batch Shock Trooper Commander, and he does have the holster and blaster with it. So the fact that they didn't include it is a big bummer. But there is a plus to that, and that means it's easier to convert this to a standard Shock Trooper grunt if you wanted to. So I'm not too upset with it, and overall, I am just happy to finally get this figure in hand. So I do highly recommend this figure to any Clone Wars fans, Bad Batch fans, or fans looking for another Black Series Clone Trooper.